There's been so much anticipation, and then the markets are a little bit freaked out. They don't really know how to position themselves. If anything, what would you think could come out of Jackson Hole?
Well, interestingly, I think I'd take the opposite view in terms of where we might get some news, or certainly where we ought to get some news. I think if I'm sitting in Janet Yellen's position, September for balance sheet reduction is pretty much baked in. I think the market is very, very well prepared for that. And there's different comments around inflation today capture the fact that they've got some more data to come till December, which is the earliest for any kind of rate decision, where we'll get a little bit more information about whether this kind of inflation weakness is transitory, whether the labour market momentum holds up. So I don't see much incentive for Janet Yellen to really shift the debate. She's probably pretty happy with where it is. I think Mario Draghi is the one who's he's in the hot seat. He's facing a much more difficult problem. And fundamentally, his problem is he's running out of ammunition, and he doesn't want the market to realise the extent to which he's out of ammunition. And I think he should be very worried about the euro. Right. The appreciation we've already seen is enough to knock probably 0.3%, 0.4% off core inflation in the eurozone. We could easily see forecasts for core inflation back below 1%, and that is at a time when they are basically forced to taper QE. I think that's a big problem.
All right, but so how does he position himself? Does he kind of talk about the factors that then influence his, thinking in September, or does he just try and talk the euro down? Well,
of course, the Governing Council hate it when he freelances at these kind of, solo shows. But I think where he has a little bit of freedom, potentially, because now that the minutes have referred to some concerns about the euro, I think if he even just repeats that sentiment, coming directly from him, I think that would be information for the markets. Equally, if he again chooses not to say that, then I think that will give the euro further permission to go higher. I think he has very little wiggle room on QE and the taper because of asset scarcity. Essentially, he has to prepare the ground for this beginning. And therefore, it's difficult to talk down the euro at the expense of your own credibility if the market thinks you've got no ammunition behind that. All he's really got is forward guidance around rates, the short-term rate and the policy rate. And I think that, if anything, that's where he's going to be heading.